They buried me alive in a coffin full of rats. It was a hazing ritual to try to awaken my wolf. They said that rats were the weakest prey, that I should be able to kill them, that I should have no fear. I was terrified. They were boys, all trying to act like alphas. They had bullied me my whole life. I was an orphan girl in the Red Moon Pack, so I was an easy target. But lately the bullying had been worse than ever. Their inner wolves had all awakened, and for them, coming of age meant looking up to alphas, acting like alphas. Mine inner wolf hadn't awakened yet, which basically meant I was human. A scared little orphan with none of the wolves' strengths and all the human weaknesses. They had buried me in the coffin before, but the rats were new. Their logic was correct. If I were a true wolf, rats would be no problem. I could see why they'd think it would awaken something in me. But all it awakened in me was fear. Even though I couldn't smell scents like a wolf could, I could smell my own fear. I read that humans, like animals, may communicate fear through pheromones. Some books describe the smell of fear as cold, nervous sweat with a hint of blood or something sharp and sour, like wet cigarettes or ant poison. The stench of fear was strong as my breathing became more rapid and panicked. My heartbeat begins to echo inside my head. I started to lose it. I let out a scream, but it was weak, choked. I pounded on the lid of the coffin and started to cry. I was getting hysterical. My fingers began clawing at the wood lid, but I don't have claws, so my fingertips are ripped open and bleeding. And that's when the drugs kick in. They fed me wolfsbane, a powerful hallucinogen, before burying me. It was part of the ritual. It had worked on them during their initiations, but I wasn't the same. What makes a wolf and a human a human? What if I'm all human and don't belong here with the Red Moon Pack? These were questions my drug-addled mind was asking until I realized, this is going on longer than usual. Nobody was digging me up. The rats were nipping at my skin, unafraid. I wish I could be like them, unafraid. I was running short of breath. The wolfsbane was coursing through my system. The haze started to envelop me. I was used to it, but this time felt different. Something shifted inside me. Was it my wolf finally awakening? No. It was my organs shutting down. I go limp. My vision goes blurry and my mind black. This time, the bullies may have gone too far. This time, they actually killed me.
Is this what being dead is like? It's peaceful, but a little bit boring. At least I don't have to feed the pack. The constant soft beeps are soothing. I don't know how long I've been dead, but I feel like I want to open my eyes, ready to take on the afterlife. After what seems like forever, I'm able to open my eyes and find I'm alone in soft comfort in a brightly lit, clean room. This is the afterlife? Maybe this is some sort of waiting area. But where's the lobby? Is there a receptionist? My mind slowly becomes more clear and I realize I'm not dead. I'm in the pack hospital. I need to leave before the alpha finds me outside the dungeon. I can barely move my body. Every move causes excruciating pain. I start to panic, making the beeps in the room become faster. Oh, I'm hooked up to a bunch of machines. I try to figure out how to unhook them so no one hears the noises. Too late. I hear people in the hallway getting closer. I try to sit up. I need to ignore the pain. I have to escape. I slowly slide off the side of the bed. My legs were wobbly. The tubes and wires sticking out of me prevent me from getting too far. The door opens, and the pack doctor comes in with a nurse. The doctor is an older person.
Talia, you're awake. Let's get you back on the mat, shall we?
The doctor says gently. He and the nurse come to either side of me and reach out to hold my arms. A deep growl escapes my chest. Don't touch me, I snap, shaking them off. My voice is scratchy and raw, and my mouth feels like 1,000 needles are poking into it.
It's all right, Talia. No one is going to hurt you here. We're trying to help you heal. Let's get you back to it, and I'll get you a drink of water.
The doctor raises his hands in surrender. I look at him hesitantly before the nurse hands me a cup of water with a straw. The water feels good on my throat. The doctor sits in the chair beside the bed as the nurse checks my vitals and starts messing with the tubes and wires attached to me.
Talia, you had surgery to remove hundreds of shards of glass from your back. We also had to reset some ribs, your jaw, and you had a lot of wolfsbane in your blood. We gave you a transfusion to clear it from your system so you could heal. You're lucky your wound isn't so serious.
Sure about that last part, doctor? I think to myself.
When the pack realized breakfast had not been prepared, Tony went to get you and then found you on the ground in your, room.
He looked at me with sympathy.
Talia, who did this to you? It's a crime. That could be grounds for banishment from the pack.
I can't answer him. I stare at my hands on my lap quietly. How can I tell him Alpha Edward is the one who caused this? There's no way he'd believe me. Even if he did, what are they going to do? Banish the Alpha? Fat chance of that. I decide my best move is to just shake my head no. I don't want to get out of the pack for lying. I have nowhere to go. I would be nothing.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. When do you turn 17?
He looks at the papers inside his folder. I don't know exactly, sir. I say honestly. He looks at me with a furrowed brow. He glances at the nurse and asks her to give us privacy for a few minutes. Am I in trouble? I just woke up. I don't know what I could have done.
You don't know your birthday, Talia?
My father brought me here when I was a baby. He was a bad guy. Alpha Edward, well, I feel my face burning with embarrassment. My hands tremble and tears threaten to escape my eyes. I didn't think I would have to tell the story to the doctor. I thought everyone already knew. My father was a bad guy. Alpha Edward ended his life for coming into pack territory without permission. They didn't realize he was carrying a baby until they unzipped his jacket and saw I was tucked inside. It was a miracle I survived. Since I was just a baby, they couldn't just get rid of me, but they didn't know anything about me. I was wrapped in a blanket that had the name Talia embroidered on it. So that is what they called me. My father could have been a kidnapper for all I know. The only reason they gave me the last name Jackman is because after they took down my father, they looked through his wallet to identify him. The only form of ID he had was a library card that said Brian Jackman on it. I've tried an internet search for his name on the computer in the school library before. Nothing comes up in the search.
You don't need to finish. I know what happened to your father.
Well, after that happened, Luna Layla took me in until I was old enough to start school. Then she moved me into the dungeon. I've kind of been on my own since then. I never found out when my actual birthday was. And to be honest, you're the first person who has ever asked. I mean, I guess I'm 16. My wolf hasn't woken up yet. The doctor nods, looking at me with pity, almost like he cares. He asks me a few more questions about my medical history. There's nothing to speak of. I don't remember ever being treated by a doctor before. He closes the folder and tucks his pen into his shirt pocket.
Well, I know you haven't had a chance to look in the mirror yet, but when you do, you may find you look a little different. Don't be alarmed. I've done as many tests as I could think of, and it is not medically related.
Yes, sir? I assume he means I'm healing faster, but why did he need me to look in the mirror? Why not just tell me? I look at the nurse who is staring at me. When she realizes I caught her, her eyes dart away. What's that about? Okay, lady. Rude?
I'll leave you now.
You can go in the bathroom and wash up. Just take that bowl with the IV solution with you. There are lounge shorts and fresh underwear in the bag. You need to leave the hospital gown on until your back heals. All right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Diane. She nods and leaves the room. It's the first time in my life people have been kind to me. I mean, I think it's part of their job, but still. All I have known so far were insults, physical misery, and hard work. Never any kindness. Never any. I feel like I can trust the doctor, but I'm still wary of Nurse Diane. The way she stared at me just now makes me uncomfortable. I pick up the duffel bag and go to the bathroom. I avoid looking in the mirror. Everything in the bathroom is fresh. There's a shower, but I'm worried the pressure of the water will hurt my back. I decided to fill the tub halfway and get in. The water is warm and soothing. There's a washcloth and a fresh bar of soap. I clean myself until the water is gross. I drain the tub, wipe out the ring of dirt around the edge, and fill it again. The water is not nearly as dirty as this time when I finish washing. I find it hard to raise my hands, but I don't want to call the nurse to help me. I gently wash my hair, dry off, and wrap the soft towel around my head. There's a toothbrush and a small tube of paste on the shelf by the sink. I'm living in the lap of luxury in the Pack Hospital. I pick them up and start brushing my teeth. I can't avoid it anymore. I need to look in the mirror. I finally worked up the courage to take a peek. What I see makes me drop the toothbrush. My face is still covered in bruises, but that's not what made me drop the toothbrush. The iris of my left eye is violet, not like a shade of blue that could be a little purple in the right light. No, my right pupil is still the drab gray I'm used to, but my left pupil looks crazy. I blink my eyes hard a few times. Still the same. I tried rubbing my eye, but it doesn't make a difference. There's no mistaking it. My eye is bright, practically glowing. Violet. The 2 days seem to last forever. I'm not complaining, though. I've never gotten so much in my life, and as a bonus, I get 3 meals a day. 3. I keep looking in the mirror. I can't get over how weird my purple eye looks. I wake up on the 2nd day and go to the bathroom to freshen up. I stare at myself in the mirror for the millionth time. My left eye is still violet. Now my right eye seems like it's starting to turn violet as well. There was nothing I could do about it, so I decided to try not to worry. Since Red Moon is a pretty big pack, we have a high school on pack territory. The library has a really big werewolf lore research section. I will do some research during lunch. As I tilt my head to the side to brush my hair, I notice a chunk of my hair has changed color. Instead of my normal mousy brown, it is silvery gray. Okay, seriously now, and what is going on? What is happening to me? Is this a trick? Is there bleach in the shampoo or something? If it is a trick, it isn't funny. I pick up the bottle and smell it. It smells like strawberries, not bleach. Weird. I have never heard of a wolf's eye or hair color changing when they are coming of age, but that's what the doctor thinks is happening. Diane comes in just after lunch with paperwork and pamphlets for me. She hands me another little bag.
Just a little something to help you stay incognito until you are finished healing.
Thank you for everything. There is a round hat in the bag. How do I look? I ask as I model them for her. She giggles at my poses.
You're a star, darling.
Maybe she isn't so bad after all. She gives me a gentle hug and sends me on my way. I have another 2 hours before I need to start prepping dinner.
I suddenly heard the door of the dungeon slam open. It was Alpha Edward. Well, I thought to myself, I've already died once today. May as well do it again. I heard 2 sets of footsteps coming down the hall. Instantly, I freeze. I can smell Alpha Edward's scent getting closer. He is the Alpha to the Red Moon Pack, our leader. And he was brutal. But it's not just him. Someone else is here too. Well, I thought to myself, I've already died once today. May as well do it again. Instinctively, I scramble and stand in the middle of the room just as they reach the doorway. Alpha Edward, what can I do for you? I ask, my eyes looking at the floor and my hands clasped in front of me, trying to look as small as possible.
That little stunt you pulled cost me a lot of money.
He says with a calm, gravelly voice.
And when you cost me money, you cost the entire pack money.
I'm sorry, sir. I apologize. Even though I have no idea what stunt he is talking about, I look up just enough to see Marcy, the Alpha's daughter and princess to the Red Moon pack, also standing in the doorway. Marcy stepped closer, and tears stung the corners of my eyes as my arms shook uncontrollably. Why is she here? Why would he bring her here?
The cost of living in a pack isn't cheap, Talia.
Alpha Edward sneered.
Do you have any idea how much money you cost me? And how useless you are? We try to awaken your wolf, and you keep resisting. It brings shame to the pack. It makes me look bad, Talia.
I just nod, still looking at the ground. I'm not trying to argue with a lunatic. It isn't my fault my wolf won't awaken. I want it to.
You owe me, Talia. You will work in the pack house until you pay it back every cent. You will work for the rest of your life if necessary.
He roared with his alpha tone, and I was helpless to disobey. With those words, the small flame of hope in my heart died. I am less than an omega now. I am a slave.
Marcy, teach her a lesson for wasting our money.
He growled.
Yes, Father.
She says, a sadistic smile coming over her. Tears stream down my face as reality sets in. Alpha Edward is passing the torch of his torture down to his daughter, but I knew better than that. He will never stop. He just wants to watch. Marcy reaches forward, grabbing the back of my neck. She pushes me down, forcing me to bow, growling deeply.
You should be grateful my father doesn't banish you.
A squeak escapes my throat. I am so scared, I feel like I'm going to pass out again. Marcy turns to her father.
Don't worry, Father. I'll handle her just as you instructed.
I hear footsteps as Alpha Edward walks down the hallway as he leaves. The moment the door slams shut, Marcy's grip tightens around my neck, extending her claws into my skin, and I yelp. Suddenly, she releases my neck, kneels in front of me, and grabs my shoulders, shaking me violently.
What did you do to make him so mad?
She hissed. Why did she stop? Is this just another part of their twisted game? My whole body stiffened. Avoiding eye contact, I'm shaking. I can't even speak. How can the goddess allow this to happen? I want to die. I prayed they would just end it, and finally I could rest. Just kill me, I kept thinking. Please, goddess, just let me go, or let her kill me. I just want it to end. I begin to shake so badly. I fall to my knees, sobbing hysterically. My brain shuts down, and I give in. Marcy grabs me by the chin, forcing me to look into her cold, gray eyes.
What happened to your eyes?
She screams, moving her hands up from my chin to just below my eyes, her fingers trembling against my face. Oh no, I thought. Not now. Why now? I feel her thumbs pressing against my lower eyelids, obstructing my vision. Oh no, 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 she's going to pull my eyes out. She is going to blind me. I place my hands on top of hers, trying to pull her away. I hear myself screaming. No, 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 stop! Don't take my eyes, please! Then, like magic, everything stopped. The clock stopped. Drips of water paused in midair. Time had stopped, and Marcy screamed, letting go of my face. What? Did the moon goddess hear me? Did she have mercy on me? I shut my eyes tight, waiting for Marcy to retaliate, but she didn't.
If you tell anyone, I will kill you.
She said in my ear and punched me in the stomach, knocking the air out of my lungs. I heard her footsteps running down the hall and then out the door. I don't know how long I sat there, but when I finally opened my eyes, I breathed a sigh of relief. I laid there sobbing, shaking, and trying to catch my breath. Why did she stop? Surely she was coming back. I sniffed the air, but her scent was gone. I listened carefully, but there were no sounds. I'm alone. Goddess, thank you for saving me. Thank you, I say aloud. I feel exhausted, but somehow calmer. I take a few deep breaths and force myself down the hall to wash up at the sink. I splash cold water on my face and look in the grungy mirror, and my eyes flash violet once again. But just as quickly as they appeared, they were gone. Hours later, after I had composed myself, I helped serve dinner in the pack house and did my best to dodge Alpha Edward's murderous glares as Marcy pretended I wasn't there. I kept my eyes to the floor, praying they would not betray me again. After dinner, I finished stocking the pantries, cleaned the kitchen, and finally returned to my dungeon. It was well after midnight. I flopped down on my bed and closed my eyes, ready to dream of a better life. I'm almost asleep when I hear a woman's voice. "Hello?" I whispered. But again, it was coming from within me. The following morning, any bit of freedom I ever had was gone. Every moment of my day was filled with work from the moment I opened my eyes. Marcy encouraged the other pack members to bully me, to mock me verbally, and the abuse is now worse than ever. She and her father now come to my room multiple times a week to beat and berate me for imaginary offenses. A couple of times, Marcy even got the whip for her father, but she never actually does the beating. I swear I see her smiling while she watches. Each day is an endless cycle of exhaustion and beatings. Then one day, one of Alpha Edward's Omegas came running up to me while I was cleaning the kitchen, telling me Alpha Edward wanted to speak with me in his office immediately. Quickly, I dropped what I was doing and hurried to his office, knocking on the door quietly in case he was busy.
Come in.
He calls as I pull open the door and peek inside. "You called me Alpha?" I asked as quietly as possible.
Don't just stand there. Come in.
He snarled. I rushed inside and closed the door behind me, staying as close to the door as possible in case I needed to make a run for it.
Talia, we have a delegation from the Dark Howler Pack coming next week. All of the ranked members, their mates, the heads of their security and guards, and security detail for all of them. If all goes well, we'll be forming a pact with them. They must be treated with the utmost respect and courtesy. The manor must be in pristine condition, the pantries must be well stocked, and you must stay out of the way. Understand?
"Yes, sir," I say, praying that's all he wanted.
Everyone will be here on Monday, except for the Alpha, who is coming Tuesday. We'll be having a party after dinner to welcome him. Make sure everything is in tip-top shape, and give George the information on any additional supplies we may need. Do you understand?
"Yes, sir," I said again.
Good girl. We need to keep the Alpha happy. If everything goes according to plan, he will be mated to my Marcy, and that will make me very happy. You want me to be happy too, don't you?
"Yes, sir." He stood up with his hands leaning on his desk.
Good. Now get out of my sight.
He pointed to the door, and I scrambled out of the room as fast as possible to find George. George is in charge of supplying the pack house. He should be in his office right now. I will also need extra supplies for the guest rooms. What is the Dark Howler Pack like? I wondered. The Dark Howlers were the largest pack in North America, and our pack, the Red Moons, was the second largest. Alpha Edward had told me the Dark Howlers were vicious and strict, and that their alpha was extremely harsh, banishing any pack members who made them look weak. I definitely don't want to get on his bad side, I told myself. Finally, I reached George's quarters and knocked on the door, but he didn't answer. I could hear noise and voices coming from inside, so I knocked a little louder. He has to know I'm here, I thought. He knows my scent. I knock again, more impatiently this time.
What is it?
He finally growled from behind the door. I opened the door and could not believe my eyes. A female wolf sat on his desk, hiding her face in his chest. I couldn't see her, but I knew her scent in an instant. George was not wearing any pants and was visibly sweating.
Get the hell out, Talia! I am busy in here!
He shouted, but I stood there wide-eyed and slack-jawed. I can't be seeing this, I thought. George is mounting Marcy in his office.
Get out!
He yelled louder. I came to my senses and slammed the door closed, running back to the kitchen as fast as possible. If anyone finds out what I just saw, I am dead. I tried to forget it, but as I was about to help serve lunch, George came charging into the kitchen, making a beeline for me, grabbing me by the throat and pinning me against the wall. He hauls back and punches me square in the face. The back of my head slams against the wall so hard I see stars. I can feel my nose burn with pain as I slide down the wall in a daze.
You didn't see anything?
He growled, and I could feel his claws extending into my neck, drawing blood.
You hear me, you little monster?
Paralyzed with fear. I can't speak. I can't even nod. Suddenly, I feel like I'm falling backward in my mind. I blinked quickly a few times, and George saw my eyes go violet.
God, you are a freak!
He spat as he left. I pick up a towel and wipe the blood from my nose, but this time something was different. I was healing, almost immediately. This is not normal, I thought. I never heal this quickly. I still had to finish my work. Otherwise, George would be the least of my worries. So I decided to go to the stockroom and put supplies on the pantry cart for later. Then I heard someone clear their throat behind me. That scent, I thought. Oh no! I turned to find Marcy standing uncomfortably close to me. "Can I help you with something, Miss Marcy?" I said, playing dumb.
Talia, I wanted to tell you something. Soon, I will be the Luna to the Dark Howler Pack, the largest pack in the north. And once I am, maybe you can come with me? Would you like that?
"Marcy, please, I'm sorry," I cried as I looked up at her to see an evil grin distorting her face.
I see the way my father treats you, Talia. You never complain.
What the hell does she want? I thought.
I think you want to leave. Do you want to leave with me?
There's no way I heard her right. "Marcy, I don't think," I said in disbelief. I could not believe what was happening. Was she messing with my mind?
Don't lie to me, Talia. I know you want to leave here. I can take you away from all this. Don't you want to come with me?
She said, "Are you insane?" I yell, pushing hard against her, but she's too strong. What is wrong with this family? I thought. Suddenly, the look on her face contorts from happy to disgusted. Without warning, she took a step back and slapped me across the face, dropping me to my knees. All I could do was sob, too afraid to fight back, too afraid to speak. Instead, I prayed, "Moon Goddess, if you're there, please help me. Please save me from this." I cried in my mind as Marcy attacked me. She clawed at me, her wolf claws extended, and finally released me. But before I fell to the floor, she raked her claws across my scars.
That will teach you not to spy on people.
She hissed as she walked away. I lay on the ground crying as she left, and the voice spoke again. "Soon." The trauma was causing me to go insane. I shook my head, picked myself up off the ground, ran to my room, and tried to pretend it never happened. The next few days were a blur. Each night, I would go to the roof, stand with my toes at the edge, and stare down from the 4-story building, praying for the strength to jump. But I never did. I didn't even have the courage to kill myself. All I could do was cry in my room. Finally, the day came for me to prepare for the Dark Howler Pack. I started by refilling the pantries, ensuring we had more than enough food, drink, and toiletries for our guests, and then I made my way to the suites. It is almost 1:30 in the morning before I plop into bed, exhausted. It has been a day. I float off to sleep, whimpering and crying into the pillow. To my surprise, my alarm wakes me in the morning. While getting ready, I looked in the mirror and saw my eyes flash violet once again, as the words rang in my mind. Soon. The Dark Howler delegation arrived that afternoon, and they were a sight. All tall and all intimidating, some with tattoos and giant muscles. Some even had visible scars on their arms and faces. The rest of the day went surprisingly smoothly. The guests seemed pleased with their accommodations and the service. In the evening, I personally visited each guest suite to ensure their needs were met. A few asked for towels or cleaning, but overall, everyone seemed satisfied. The last door was Beta Caden's room. Second in command to the Dark Howler Pack, I knocked, and his mate Maya opened the door. Her dark hair was still pulled back, and she wasn't wearing makeup. She looked strong, but still very beautiful. I could hear her mate inside, talking on the phone.
Thank you for checking in on us. Everything is wonderful. The flowers are a beautiful touch. You have a good taste.
She said, smiling at me. I bowed to her slightly and turned to leave when she stopped me.
Wait, what's that on your face?
I stopped in my tracks and turned around. "Sorry, ma'am?" I asked, feeling the blood drain from my face.
Come closer.
She said, commanding but almost concerned. I walked towards her, keeping my eyes to the ground. She held my face and quickly wiped away my makeup, revealing my dark purple bruises.
Oh, I see.
She said with surprise.
Now, don't be disrespectful. Always look me in the eye when I speak to you. What happened to you? Did someone break your nose recently?
Who's at the door, Maya?
Her mate said from inside the room.
The Omega who has been taking such good care of us, Kaden. What's your name again?
She said. It's Talia, ma'am.
Her name is Talia. She picked out my beautiful flowers.
She said to him, but she never took her eyes off me.
Oh, she loves the flowers, thank you.
He said, not a problem. I will bring fresh ones tomorrow. I smiled and turned to leave, but she called out to me again.
Oh, and Talia, if those bruises aren't healed by tomorrow morning, come find me. Alpha Damon will want to see them.
Yes, ma'am, I said shakily before hurrying away as fast as possible. 1,000,000 questions run through my head. Why would their Alpha want to see my bruises? What would he do to me? Was she going to tell Alpha Edward? I finally returned to my room, ready to rest, and there he was, waiting for me. I thought for sure their Beta had told him, but Alpha Edward didn't say a word about her. He simply came to whip me as usual, with some made-up excuse about me not having all the items our guests wanted. By morning, I'm in so much pain I can barely move. Everything is a struggle. Cleaning, carrying breakfast trays, clearing tables. Every move causes my wounds to open and bleed, making the back of my shirt damp with blood. Beta Maya's eyes followed me throughout the day, studying me. She could tell something was wrong, but said nothing. I returned to the kitchen, and the cook immediately grabbed me to let me know the Dark Howler Alpha had arrived, and I needed to bring his lunch to the conference room immediately. I quickly grabbed the trays and rushed toward the conference room. As I entered, I noticed that the Alpha Daemon was not there, but there was a spot at the head of the table reserved for him. I left his meal at the empty seat and went to leave. Everyone from the Dark Howler pack politely thanked me as I served them. Their manners contradicted every rumor I had heard, something I had never experienced as a member of the Red Moon pack. A strange feeling overcame me, and I started to feel dizzy. It must be my injuries, I thought. I went out the back door to get some air, and in the distance I saw him. It's him, the Dark Howler Alpha. He was too far away for me to make out his actual features. All I could see was a tall figure with dark hair and a well-cut suit. What is that smell? I said to myself. It smells like, I swear it smells like coffee, dark chocolate, and the forest after a rain. It's intoxicating. Hours later, when the welcome party was in full swing, I peeked out from the kitchen to ensure everything was going smoothly, and I immediately noticed Alpha Edward drinking heavily. Wonderful, I thought, picturing what was in store for me later that night. Luna Layla kept trying to take the glass away from him, but he ordered the Omegas to give him more. The room was extra crowded, so I couldn't see the Dark Howler Alpha, but Beta Maya saw me peeking in and gave me a wink. I smiled and gave a little wave before returning to the kitchen. Luckily, the other Omegas would clean up the dinner service tonight, giving me time to check the guest rooms. I headed upstairs to the stock room, loaded the cart up, and hummed to myself as I went from room to room. I felt an odd sense of calm that I couldn't explain. After everything I had been through, I should have bawled in the corner shaking, but I felt happy. As I finished stocking the guest rooms on the 3rd floor, I headed to the 2nd floor, where the guest suites were located. I remembered to stock the Beta's room with fresh flowers and left a little tent card with a handwritten smiley face on the counter. It was almost midnight by the time I was wrapping up, and everyone was still in the ballroom. I closed the door to the Beta's suite and moved on to the Alpha's suite door. It's the last room left. He must be at the party too, but I knocked before entering just in case. I put my ear against the door and heard nothing, so I slipped my key in the lock and opened the door. But the moment I looked inside, my heart stopped, and I froze. Standing there was the most handsome werewolf I've ever seen in my life. Easily 6 foot, 6 inches tall, looked to be about 250 pounds of solid muscle with the broadest shoulders. But he wasn't alone. An icy blonde stood in front of him with her hands undoing his belt. The smell of coffee and dark chocolate filled the air, and my mind went hazy as I watched him scream. He shouted, "Is this it? Is this the day I die?" I wondered. I was only doing my job, but that did not change the fact that I had witnessed something that should not have been seen. Before I could move, he lunged forward and roughly pinched me against the floor outside the room with a low growl. He placed both hands on my shoulders, preventing me from escaping, put his face against my neck, and inhaled deeply. My heart was pounding in my chest as overwhelming panic began to set in.
Alpha Damon, is this Omega trying to steal something?
A guard said, seeing the struggle.
Get back.
He snarled, flashing his large fangs.
Mine.
He growled. Over his shoulder, I could faintly see Marcy staring daggers at me, and down the hall I heard Alpha Edward shouting.
What a disaster.
I thought they're all going to kill me. My head started swimming, and I felt even dizzier. Maybe I was finally dying.
Look what you've done, you little bitch!
Marcy yelled as she reached out to grab me, but she never touched me. Alpha Damon snarled, snatching her hand out of the air and snapping her wrist. Alpha Edward roared,
How dare you?
"This is war!" I watched them fight as if it was a dream. They looked as though they were moving in slow motion. Alpha Edward yanked Marcy, pulling her back as Damon snarled at them. He was vicious, beautifully vicious. A guard tried to separate them as Beta Cadden and Maya took defensive positions around Alpha Damon, and George lunged at Damon, but he was no match for the Alpha. Damon grabbed George by the throat and threw him into the wall as though her were a tiny pup. I almost laughed, but I was shaking all over, barely able to stand. But in the chaos, I managed to crawl away and slink down the stairs. I looked around to see if anyone noticed me, but they were all too busy arguing. I looked down to see blood running down my legs, dripping onto the floor. I started to lose consciousness, and then I heard it, the most guttural, ear-shattering roar.
Where is she?
Where is who? Alpha Damon.
Where is my mate?
Is it possible? Is Talia truly Damon's fated mate? What will Damon do to protect her? Will their bond ignite a war between the two most powerful packs in the Order? Will any of them leave Red Moon territory alive?
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.